Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for L2 Productions, and you are watching I Watch and Watch. We are covering Sistas. This is season 9, episode 9. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe if you are new, and leave your comments below. Now let's get into this episode. Okay, so we're starting off with Sabrina, as we have been for a while now. It seems like Sabrina starts off each episode, if y'all have not noticed that. But anyways, Sabrina, after last night, who didn't get any, Gramps is sleeping on the couch. And she goes out there from her bedroom to get him up, and he's not waking up. So then she calls Maurice and wanting help in trying to get him up, saying that he put her in that position. No, you're the one that said that you wanted to live by your own rules. You didn't want to be the good girl anymore. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sabrina, you got to take some responsibility for this. But anyways, he's making all these suggestions because he's trying to take her at face value as to what she first said in the first place, is that she wanted to be a 304. And he's giving all the questions as to, okay, so was it the night good or not? You want him to come back? Was the D good? And she didn't say anything, of course. So he said it must not have been good. So, but he gave her different options, but also said that these could be felonies too. So he eventually wakes up and thinks that it's time for them to have sex. And she's like, you're out of your mind, basically. But he thought that she was going to make him breakfast. And she said, again, you out of your mind. So she ended up making up some cereal. Lord Jesus. He's thinking that he's going to get another chance with her, and Sabrina said, no way on this green earth. No. Later on, her, Maurice, and Paige, they meet up. And she was supposed to be taking the 304 walk of shame. She got on sunglasses, and I guess the alcohol or whatever, her partying, finally caught up with her, which is kind of weird because we saw her pretty well together in her apartment. So that was a little bit weird. So I didn't understand that part. But Paige was doing the same thing. The difference is Karen didn't get none. Paige did. And she got her just due with a black brother. When she said what she said, when Maurice had asked, who did you actually sleep with? And she said, a brother. and he was like, ugh, your brother? That's incest. That's what y'all people do. Da, 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 da. No, what she meant is, she don't have our type of slang. And just saying brother. But yeah, she got it conveyed over that she got herself a mandingo, basically, and they had multiple sessions and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm liking this trio. I would even like it more if Pam joined them, but we'll see what happens with that. They're fun and funny. So now that we got them out of the way, let's talk about Danny. Danny's really struggling with Tony just being a couch potato. She gets up and says, hey, what's the plan today? What's the move? And Tony's like, I'm just going to stay a little bit more in my place of relaxation. And Danny's like, well, that's not really a no-go because basically you seem like a bum on the street. And Tony was like, look, I've had a job since I was 14 years old. And I busted my tail. Even when I was in college, I had a job and all that good stuff. And it's just my season of rest. And I'm not in a big rush. As I said, these last couple weeks, I don't really think just black people just get to just have a soft era. Or even just a relaxed chill. You got to be in work mode. And I know that a man is just supposed to provide security, supposed to be the protector, supposed to be the provider, and all that. If you're not, then you're nothing. And I don't think it's that simple, even though it's made to be like it's simple that way. But he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here. Anyways, Danny goes on to the airport job, and she left her lunch. She's calling Tony. Tony's not answering his phone and is going straight to voicemail. And the worst is thought of is that he's with another woman. Leonard sashayed himself over there to try to taunt Danny in regard. I don't even know why he would do that. Especially You make it so crazy and hard for yourself, especially if Danny really hurts you again, because you keep asking for it. So he goes over there and taunts her in regards to Tony quitting his job and all that. And then he was like, well, you know why he did that? It's so that he could really get away from you. Da, 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 da. I'm sure he's with some woman. Da, 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 da. It was like he was trying to force an insecurity out of Danny. Danny clapped back because he said he ate a hot dog with mayonnaise. And of course she said, you people just always do some crazy stuff, meeting white people. Now, I'm gonna say this. I have had mayonnaise, but it's more on a Polish dog and not a hot dog. So, do I keep my black card? Y'all. You know, sometimes if a Polish is on a grill, I'll put some mustard on it. And of course, if you get it from like a truck or something, they might put some onions if you want that or something. I might try it or get some relish, some of that, you know. But anyways, he got this white cream on his face, looking like he just did some fellatio. So then Dan claps back and says, well, you know, that white stuff that you just kept on your face, which is quite dumb. You just walking around the airport with that on, people telling you about it, and you still got it there. You crazy. So what are you doing? Are you trying to service people on the job? Are you doing that to some of our customers? You know? So that freaked him out, and that got him to back up off of Danny. Danny goes home, and she's upset because she wants to know why this Negro is not answering the phone. And he didn't realize his phone was off. And she was like, who is she? He's like, what are you talking about? Who is she? I know you got some 304 up in here. And he was like, no, da 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 da. What have you been doing all day? He tells her what's going on. And then next thing you know, the toilet flushes. And she said, I knew it. She grabbed a knife so fast. But she said it so comical. Come on out, because I need to take care of both of you. I don't have that much energy. I said, Lord Jesus. So, what was I gonna say? So the person came out, and it's Danny's cousin, who done blew up the toilet. So we gotta find out what he's doing and what he wants in the next episode. Let's move on to Karen. Karen goes and visits Dr. Bond, Dr. B, whatever. Kind of just getting a checkup. She said that she's still in pain, but she wanted to thank the doctor for all of his help. And we find out that, well, the doctor's asking, you know, did you take Faith to the pediatrician? And she said no. My mom took her, and he was quite concerned in regards to that. He said there's no judgment in regards to all of that, but are you doing okay outside of your health? Mentally, you know, there's a lot of options. You can go to therapy. If you need to go sit in like a group support, there are different drugs. And he mentioned, you know, postpartum and all that. But she's feeling void and empty, but she's also feeling numb at the same time. Like her body is okay, and she's just going through the motions. There's a lot going on with Karen. And again, it don't matter if you don't like her or whatever. The story is really deep, and again, I'm glad that the writers are taking their time with it to tell the story and not getting over it in 2 episodes. You know, I don't know where this is going, but she calls Pam, and Pam was like, "Oh, good, you are really you finally answered your phone." And they just talk a little bit, and Pam was really shocked because of how calm Karen was. Because normally Karen's on her tail. I know that, at least since the beginning of the show, as to how Karen runs her business, and don't really have that much faith in Pam to make sure that everything goes smoothly. But we know in the next episode that she's supposed to be going to the shop, and she got some things to say about whatever Pam is doing over there. So yeah, so they just touched bases for a few minutes and da-da-da-da-da. She did visit Andy. Andy was saying, you know, you remember da-da-da-da-da, I forgot her name, but that was one of her old classmates from college, where she was bleeding out all because of Dr. Cruz. And she says, she basically presented to Karen, hey, you know, did I say Karen earlier? I met Sabrina with all that some Maurice stuff, and I'm sure y'all knew what I was talking about anyways. But anyways, Karen, Andy was saying, you know, hey, I really want to make a case. And she was like, please don't do it. It's just bringing up all the tragedy stuff that I just went through. Please let it go. I can't really deal with it. Andy at least says okay, but I think that she's going to be doing something on the side. Honestly, I really felt like Andy should not have told anything to her before even what Karen did say, because she's dealing with a lot and she can't handle all that. Fight the battle and then come back to her with the results. At least as far as you could go, because possibly there's got to be testimony from her. But anyways, Andy is at the office and she sees that there's a bouquet of flowers. She gets a smile on her face and she immediately thinks it's the doctor that sent them to her. The doctor said, no, I didn't do that, but it's great that you got a smile, and also thought it was me that did it. Da, 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 da. So they are interested in getting to know each other. She apologized as far as her intent is when she was trying to go on this date with this guy. And he said, no biggie, I could see your passion and all that. So I want to get to know you. Da, 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 da. So it looks like we're headed on to another romance. How y'all feeling this doctor? I think this doctor needs to win. Have y'all ever seen Harlem on Amazon? I thought that he was a better fit for Megan Good's character on there. And season 3 pissed me off. Anyways, back to this show. So hopefully he gets to win. But nothing is ever, how can I say this, is ever uncomplicated with Andy and her romances. And I'm sure Gary's going to be peeking around the corner pretty soon. So, what else happened? Wait, she finds out the bouquet of flowers isn't for her, it's really for Fatima. She goes to Fatima's office. She's thinking that these are all Zach's, and she sees all these other bouquets of flowers. She's like, what's going on? And then Fatima's like, well, these are all from a player. And then Andy says, hey, you're doing this unofficially. You're not a lawyer and you're practicing law and you could get me in trouble. You can't do things off the cuff because you got to let me know what's going on because I have to still answer to the partners at some point. Da 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 da. And Fatima apologizes in regards to that and acts like she got everything covered with whatever's going on with one of the football players. But since you're not an actual lawyer, you shouldn't really be doing this. And then in walks Hayden. Hayden reveals that, we're working together on this, so it's not that too sketchy in regards to that. Andy is upset that Fatima is doing something with Hayden, for one, and then hiding it from her. So she lets it they kind of let it go at that point. But Hayden tells Fatima that, that Andy is jealous of you. And Fatima's like, that's not true. It's coming off as hater. It feels like now that Fatima's edging towards more being a lawyer, it feels like, okay, why are you on my heels like that? However, Fatima is doing stuff that she really shouldn't be doing. But hey, it can look that way as far as what Andy's doing because it just seems like she was bothered. Fatima's been her ride or die. So now it's like, oh, you finna do your own thing? I don't know about that. That's the kind of energy that Andy's giving. So Hayden might be right. So I think that there's going to be some type of rift later on down the line. But y'all can give me your thoughts on what's up with that. And we move on to Fatima on Sistas. Oh Lord, I cringe because how much we love Zach and Fatima. But look, we need conflict. Come on. We need conflict. And y'all was mad last season that there wasn't much going on with Zach and Fatima. They're back. The aftermath of Zach hearing Fatima says, I am relieved that the other baby didn't survive, Zach and Karen's baby. Fatima wakes up in a good mood. I think it did her well to actually have somebody to confide in, which was Danny. And she's just in high spirits. And then you got Zach walking down. And you can tell he's in the mood, and he's also in this type of mode towards Fatima. He's treating her kind of weird. Fatima's not picking up on it right away, but you can see that there's something going on, even with his line of question. Because now he wants to know, we've been talking about Karen and da-da-da-da-da, but what about you? How do you feel about Karen losing her child in the hospital thing? Fatima basically gets herself out of the conversation. The phone rings at this point. She doesn't give him a straight answer. So anyways, it's one of the football players that is trying to make a move on her. She FaceTimes him and basically, hey, don't be doing that. I got a fiance. He talks about how little the ring is. I said, Lord. She shows Zach on here, you know, hey. Then they have a little talk, her and Fatima and Zach. Fatima's, to me, feeling herself a little bit and getting a little bit caught up. She thinks that she can handle everything. Zach is like, I don't like all this. Now, I have a few questions because I'm trying to figure out why does this man know what type of bags you actually like. And later on in the episode, you have something delivered. Why does this man know the tailor's address? Fatima, that's a little bit too much dip on your chip. Love you down, but you're trying to operate in two worlds. And I think Andy's going to be a little bit of a I told you so. Just saying. I think that's how she's going to be. She's not going to be completely wrong, y'all. So, look. So, Zach has a problem with this dude and all that. She said that she can handle herself. And I actually believe that Fatima can handle herself. But is she going to take her time before this dude really oversteps his bounds? Or is she in over her head in all of this? You know? I think she called him later on at the office and saying, hey, you know, Chaz has this opportunity for investing in property. And Zach gets all his information because at this point that I think the purse came that the football player, Chaz, delivered to the house. He didn't tell Fatima that, but he's ready to pay Chaz a visit. Fatima. Yeah, you can't juggle all this stuff. So she gives him his information under the guise that Zach is going there for this property investment type of situation. We know Zach is not that way. Zach is about to attack. We do see in the next episode where he does now confront him, and we gotta see how it goes. Hey. But that was it for the episode. It was pretty cool. I am now enjoying this Paige and Maurice thing. You know, they're pretty cool. So cool. But y'all can tell me what you thought of this episode. Y'all have any predictions? We got 2 more episodes before the season finale. Episode 11 is the mid-season finale. So I'm assuming that the show is going to come back in January. That's just my assumption, but let me know in the comments if you have any predictions. I think I saw something about somebody's gonna go missing. So I think, or maybe that maybe had been last week's or last season 8. I don't know. But anyways, y'all have any predictions on what's gonna go down the line with Karen, Zach, Fatima? They're probably the most media stories on the show. They always have. They always have Karen doing something crazy. So I don't know what's gonna happen between Danny and Tony because Danny just doesn't seem like she liked the man anymore. So I don't know. Anyways, please like this video. Thank you for coming by. Subscribe, and until the next one, peace.